I'm sorry, I forgot about this week. We didn't know when our appointments were going to be. So I'm pre-recording this so you can do it at the usual time if you're free, or you can do it whenever you feel like it if you're not. I'm hoping the mic can pick me up from there. I'm trying to project. So what do you need? You need a cushion, or if you've got a yoga block, then grab it. It's probably, this is the larger than usual yoga block. Or if you haven't got one, I'd get a cushion, but not like a really squidgy one, that one that's got a little bit of resistance. We're going to use it in bridge. And if it's really squidgy, you're going to have to work a lot harder to keep it up. So yeah, something, maybe a slightly solid cushion. We're going to start sitting down, so you can sit on your block or cushion or whatever it is. I suggest you sit towards the top of the mat, kind of here with some space behind you, because we're going to lie down in a bit. I'm going to turn around so you can see me super elegantly. So just finding a comfortable seated position to start with. If you prefer to kneel, then please kneel if that's more comfortable. Take a moment to find the right spot for you today. And then when you're ready, closing your eyes. I'm just going to run a little timer here so I don't lose track of time. So closing your eyes, and allowing your breath to just settle a little bit. As soon as we become kind of aware of our breath, it tends to shift. Let's see if you can just let it be as natural as possible as you start to pay attention to it. So for now, just noticing where you can feel your body moving as you breathe in. So is it in the front of your ribs, the side, the back? Is it in your belly? You can place your hands on your body so you can feel the breath moving it, if that helps. And then take a moment to notice other qualities about your breath. So maybe you notice the pace. Maybe you notice if your inhale or exhale is the longer side of your breath. Or maybe you breathe evenly. Maybe you notice the temperature and the humidity of the breath as it comes in over your upper lip into your nose or on its way out. Maybe you can trace a breath in over the upper lip, through the nose, into your lungs, and all the way back out again. Take a few little sighs, so just letting the breath come in naturally and sighing out the mouth to let it go. Just a few more of those, however many you need. As you take your little sighs, just letting your attention focus in more and more on your body, on your mat. This is time for you, so see if you can leave everything else behind just for a little while. When you've had enough sighing, sealing the lips and breathing through the nose, and this time trying to draw the breath a little deeper, a little fuller. If you have your hands on your body, seeing if you can spread that movement through the front, side and back of the ribs, through the belly, so your lungs are filling up equally through all 4 portions. Breathing out gently through the nose. So we're looking to find a breath that's steady, that's controlled, and that's even. So maybe you count for 3 or 4, whichever feels most comfortable, on the in, and then the same on the out. We're going to try and stick with that breath for the next 50 minutes or so. So if your breath is a little bit too long and it's a little bit hard work to maintain it, then shorten it a little bit. Once you start moving, you'll be adding a little bit of work anyway. We'll just start with some gentle movement of the neck. You can keep the eyes closed if that helps you focus on your breath and your movement. I want to focus on how this feels in the neck as opposed to what it looks like. So we're going to start sitting still, nice and tall. We're just going to exhale, let the chin drop down to the chest. So trying to move with your breath, letting the breath lead, excuse me, and allowing the movement to take the full length of the breath to happen. We're just gently stretching the back of the neck, trying to sit tall, keep those shoulders broad. On your next inhale, we're going to lift the chin up to the ceiling, stretching up the front of the throat. Nice and steady with the breath. On an exhale, taking the chin back to neutral. On your next exhale, turn the head as though you were looking over your right shoulder. On an inhale, you're going to take it over to gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale, coming back to the right. Exhaling to the left. You get the idea. We're going to carry on with this a little bit longer. Seeing if you can sync that breath and movement. Maybe you notice that one side of the neck feels easier than the other this morning. That's fine, just make a little note. Let's do one more pair of turns. And then bringing the head back to center. Do some really gentle neck rolls, so nice and slow, again moving with the breath. On an exhale, drop the chin down to the chest. Then you're going to let the right ear roll down to the right shoulder. Head drops back. As you inhale, left ear to left shoulder, chin comes forward. Exhaling to the right and back. Inhaling to the left and forward. Keeping that going, so it's one full breath for one full head circle. So just taking your head as far as it can go while you still have control. And as you do this, again, maybe noticing a little sticky point. And if that's the case, then on your next roll, just stop at the sticky point and hold there and breathe. If everything's feeling kind of fluid, then feel free to keep rolling. Nice and steady with the breaths. Last circle. On On an exhale, everyone take their chin back down to the chest. Then on the inhale, left ear to left shoulder, head drops back. Inhale to come to the right and forward, chin comes down. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder, head back. Inhale, coming back to the front. Lovely, keeping that going. Excuse me. Again, maybe you notice a little sticking point. On the next rotation, feel free to hold and breathe into that stretch. Last one. On an exhale, taking the chin back to chest and inhale to lift up. Start moving the arms now. So on an inhale, taking the arms wide, pressing the palms together overhead. So you exhale, bringing the hands back to heart center. Do 3 more of those. Inhale, big sweep of the arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Keeping that going. You lift the gaze towards the thumbs as the hands reach up, if that feels okay. Lovely. And next time you sweep the arms up, we're going to hold, pressing the palms together, lifting long through the waist. Nice steady breaths. Maybe you feel that breath in a different place in the body just now. On your next exhale, we're going to turn this into a twist. So turning to the right, right hand can come to the ground behind you or to the base of your spine. Front hand can come to the opposite thigh, just gazing over that back shoulder. So first twist, so it doesn't need to be a big one. Try not to force it, just see where your body's got this morning, this afternoon. Whenever it is you're doing this. Nice big breaths. On an inhale, we're going to sweep those arms up overhead again. Exhale, take the twist over to the other side. That's my shoulder making weird noises. I don't know if you can hear that. Nice and steady with the breath. Just one more to go. Lovely. On an inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead, coming back to center. We'll do some little side bends. We're going to exhale to the right to start with. You try not to collapse the spine and drop into the lower waist too much. On an inhale, reaching up. Exhale to take it over to the other side. So just going to switch between these two sides. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, coming down. Inhale to lift. Exhale to stretch. Keeping that going, moving with the breath. Trying to keep the chest lifted. So imagine you're trying to spin the chest up towards the ceiling. Helping to keep the shoulders a little broad. Nice. Okay, so the next time you come down on the right side, we're going to hold there. So imagine someone's pulling on that top wrist, trying to ground both sitting bones, so both hips, bum cheeks down on whatever it is you're sitting on. And trying not to let that space under between the neck and the shoulder on the lower side collapse. Trying to keep some room there. Traditionally the gaze is up to the top hand. If that feels funky, then feel free to lower the gaze or look straight ahead, whatever feels better on the neck. Last breath on this side. Inhale to sweep back up again. Exhale over. Same on this side. I've got to turn my hair up. So someone's pulling on that top wrist. Chest is spinning up, leaving space between the neck and shoulder on the lower side. Both bum cheeks down. Nice steady breaths. Lovely. On an inhale, sweeping up, and then we're going to come down onto our backs. So if you're sitting on something, take it away. Just keep it in arm's reach for now. We're going to take the soles of the feet to the ground. And swing round if you're kneeling. You're going to place both soles of the feet down on the ground. It doesn't really matter for now how close or far away they are. Reaching forward so that the front of your body becomes as small a C shape as you can possibly make it. I'm going to try and keep that C shape nice and small, and the soles of the feet on the ground, hugging the tummy in as you start to roll down. So we're trying not to let it drop at any point, trying to keep this movement nice and controlled. Maybe that's something to work on, maybe it's already there. Arms come up overhead to the ground. If you've got space to reach the arms out, then do. If you haven't quite got enough space, then take hold of opposite elbows. I'm going to take the soles of the feet together, let the knees drop out to the side. Up to you how close your heels are to your hips. Nice steady breath. If this is really intense on the inside of your hips, then it's another good place to have cushions to hand. Maybe pop one under each thigh, just at the top there, to give you a little bit of support and take some of the weight out of your hips. Otherwise, just here, switching elbows if you're holding elbows. Nice steady breath. So noticing again where you're feeling that breath in your body. Last breath. Again, if your legs are feeling quite heavy here, then you can take your hands to the outside of the thighs to help you close the legs like a book. And then we're going to do some little bridges. We're going to do a standing flow in a minute. So I thought we'd do some bridges. They're quite good to get the glutes working, and they are handy for our little standing flow. And do something a little bit stronger today. I had some feedback, we like some balances, so that's where that's come from. So rolling the lower back into the ground so you can feel the whole of your back flat on the earth. So you might need to hug the tummy muscles in to help keep that lower spine down. And with your feet, what you want to try and do is get your ankles, knees and hips in line. So in most people's bodies, that's going to leave a bit of space between the knees or thighs. And that's where you're going to have your block or your cushion. And you want to pop it in that gap. Try not to collapse the knees or widen the knees. You're trying to keep that knee alignment and just fill that space with whatever it is you've got. And just gently squeeze on it. So we're not shifting anything into weird positions. We're just adding a little bit of work. So bringing your attention back to your breath if it's gone for a wander. We're going to start with some little pelvic tilts, and then you can keep with those, or if you want to move into some holds, then we'll have that available as well. So to start with, we're just pressing into the sole of the foot, the whole foot, including that big toe, little toe, the heel. And then maybe on an exhale, you want to start to lift the hips away from the ground just a little bit. And then inhale to roll them back down to the earth. Exhale, pressing the feet, letting the hips start to roll up. Maybe they come a bit further. Inhale to roll down. You do 3 more like that. So letting the hips lift as high as you want them to. Just exploring how that sensation feels. Making sure to press through the toes. That will help activate those glutes. You can always try it without pressing through the big toe. See how that feels. See if you can notice the difference. Lovely. So hopefully, if you're feeling good, your hips are coming up quite high now, maybe to create a sort of straight line between the shoulders and the knees. So the next time, I'm aware this is more than 5, the next time you come up, you can hold in that nice straight line, or you can keep doing the lifts. If you're up, make sure that that block hasn't dropped anywhere. Make sure you're still pressing through the whole foot, and you're holding those tummy muscles still in to try and keep a nice strong flat back. Glutes should be on. Some teachers keep switching them off, but that's not how the body wants to work. So we'll let it do what it wants to do and let it build the strength it wants to build. If you're holding up, 1 more breath here. And then exhale to gently lower all the way back down, releasing the hips, releasing the feet. Take a little break so you can move your block. Maybe take the feet a little wider. Just gently take some little twists. So on an exhale, knees drop to the right. So inhale to center, exhale to the left. So now we know where we're going. I'm going to leave it up to you to do the counting for yourself so that you're working with your breath. So we'll all take a slightly different amount of time to do this. So I'll try and give you enough time for everyone to get through. So we're going to bring ourselves back to that starting point. If you found that was quite tough on your knees, then step your feet a little further away. See if that helps. It may not. I'm going to take the block back, or the cushion, whatever it is you've got. So we're going to do 5 tilts, as high or as low as you want. Maybe they all come up the whole way. Maybe you're still exploring that space. And then 5 breaths to hold, or carry on tilting for 5 more. So when you're ready, you're going to exhale, press into the feet. Start with those tilts. Inhale to come back down. Lovely. So moving with your breath. Maybe your breath is a little bit faster or a little bit slower than mine. Noticing. If you feel wobbles, that's fine. That's just your muscles working out what's going on. What are you doing? If anything feels tough, just notice it. Notice if you stop pressing through the balls of the feet. See if you can re-engage that. Maybe you're coming towards your hold now. Nice and steady with the breath. So trying to keep that consistent breath through whatever shape we're making with the body. So if the breath, we're trying to keep breath as full as it was when we started at the beginning of practice as well. So if it's starting to get a little shallower, try and bring it back a little bit deeper. When you're ready, coming back down, removing your block. And we're going to hug the knees into the chest for a little bit. Maybe rolling the lower hips into the ground. Little bit of a massage there. Lovely. Right, time to get up. We do some little rocks and rolls from the lower hips up to the shoulders. Little massage for the back as well. Do as many or as few as you like. Now when you're ready, we're going to come up and over without hitting any furniture, onto all fours. Lovely. So we've already been doing a little bit of work getting the spine moving. We'll give the wrists a little bit of a warm up. So you're just going to turn the back of the right hand onto the mat, and then back, and the left hand, and then back. Just before we bear too much weight through them, we'll give them a little bit of love. And we're going to set up our tabletop. We're going to take a nice long one. So we're going to walk the hands forward. So the heel of the hand is roughly where the fingers were. Take the shoulders width. So you've got a slightly longer base. Hips are a little bit dipped. On an exhale, you're going to take the weight to your hips over to the right and take them back towards the feet. On an inhale, hips come out to the left. Let them hang a little at the front. Keep that circle going. So you should feel this more in the hip joint, maybe in the shoulders, sort of snaking round. Okay, one more in this direction. And then next time you come to the front, go back the way you came. Back to the left. Up to the right. Nice. Lovely. One more. Lovely. And we're going to come back to neutral, reset our tabletop. This time more traditional shape, knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Pressing through the fingertips and the thumb, pressing through the arms as well. So maybe the space around the shoulder blades starts to dome up. Inner side of the elbows facing towards each other. I'm going to stretch that right leg out behind us. Ball of the foot is down, pressing the heel away. There's a bit of a calf stretch somewhere in there. Hopefully that feels nice. Pressing through the fingertips where we're bearing our weight through our hands. Just avoids crunching everything into the wrists. Nice steady breaths. One more. And on an exhale, we're going to bring that right knee back in, and then the left leg's going to go out straight. Ball of the foot down, pressing out through the heel, stretching out that calf. Nice steady breaths. Maybe you notice one side's tighter than the other. Maybe they all feel good. Lovely. One more breath here. Then we're going to bring the knee back together. We're going to take the knees quite wide, sit back on the heels for child's pose, reaching the arms up to the top of the mat. So you can have a few little wriggles as you settle here, just trying to straighten out, lengthen out the spine. So if you notice anything feels sticky or tight, then feel free to move into it if that helps you to release it. Finding a little bit of stillness. If you have some space in the front of the shoulders you want to get into, you can take the palms of the hands together, bend up the elbows so the thumbs come to the base of the skull. Nice steady breath. On an exhale, placing the palms down. We're going to set up for a down dog. So just checking on the hands. They want to be roughly shoulder width apart, wider if you have really tight shoulders. Fingertips spread nice and wide. You're going to press into the thumb, the fingers, the knuckles at the base of the spine, as you base of the thumbs, as you tuck your toes, start to lift your hips up and back. So keep the knees soft to start with. Focus on keeping that back nice and straight. So wrapping the shoulder blades around the ribs. It's almost as though you're trying to get those insides of the elbows up towards the ceiling. Pressing through the whole hand. A little bit of walking the dog. So if you just straighten one leg, draw the heel down to the ground as you bend the opposite knee. Swapping over. Nice and steady so you don't lose that breath. Lovely. Finding stillness just for 2 breaths. If you notice that you tend to have a sticky outy bum, then you might need to roll the tailbone up towards the ceiling to flatten the back. Okay, we're going to walk the feet to find the backs of the hands, bending the knees, making them soft, feet a little way apart from each other. Ragdoll forward fold, so head is heavy. Maybe you have a sway. And checking in on the face, the neck, the tongue. Making sure it's all nice and soft. Don't need to carry any stress in there for now. Maybe wriggle the jaw from side to side if that's feeling a little tense. We're trying to stretch out the back, so if the backs of the legs are feeling tight, then see if bending deeper into the knees helps with that. One more breath. And on an inhale, we're going to roll up to standing, so chin stays tucked, knees stay bent as you unravel your spine. Standing nice and tall at the top of the mat. If the camera has cut off the top of my head, I'm sorry about that. Done the best I can. Right, have a little wriggle. Maybe grab a little drink if you need a little drink. How are we doing on time? Halfway through. I'm going to do a little standing sequence. Cool. So we're going to start in a kind of wide stance mountain pose. So yeah, maybe everyone's going to be a bit different, so it's got to feel nice and solid wherever you are, because we're going to do some balances from this position. So we want to be able to easily just shift the weight and lift one foot. So if your feet are too close together, can make that, or too far apart, that can make it harder. So trying to find a nice stable base to work from. Towards the top of the mat, standing nice and tall, hugging everything in towards the midline of the body. So imagine a rod going down through the centre of the body, through the spine, trying to pull everything in towards that. So you're standing here quite actively, it's not just you're just hanging out. Imagine someone's pulling on your wrists as their fingertips reach for the earth. Pressing through the whole of the foot, so you're trying to spread the weight through the feet. Chin's parallel to the ground. Try not to stick the jaw forward. Nice steady breaths, holding here nice and strong in your mountain pose. Lovely. On your next inhale, we're going to come into chair. So you're going to bend the knees, sink the hips and reach the arms up. If having the arms up is too much, then you can just take them to the hips. You want to imagine you went to sit down in a chair, some sneaky child took it away from you. You're trying to keep the back long again. So again, notice if you're one of those people who has a sticky out your bum, see if you can tuck the tailbone so the spine's nice and straight. If the arms are up, we want them to be aiming to be alongside the ears. Gaze is between those hands. Lovely, holding steady breath, hugging the tummy muscles in to help support that straight spine. Lovely. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of balancing. I'm going to shift the weight into the left foot, bring the right knee into the chest, holding the rest of the shape. And on an exhale, we're going to straighten both legs a little bit. So we're going to keep the hips facing front, arms are still overhead or on the hips. We're trying to get a straight line from that back heel to the top of the head or the fingertips. From there, we're going to start to tip forward, trying to keep those hips level, kicking out through the heel. And the furthest we're going to go is so that the leg and body are parallel with the ground. Nice steady breath. Last one. On an exhale, you're going to step that right toe, with more grace than that, to the ground behind you and lunge into that front knee. You can bring the hands to the hips now if they're up overhead. You're going to inhale to straighten the front leg. Exhale, finding that lunge again. So trying to square the hips, bending into that front leg, keeping that back heel high. Nice and steady. So, I said we might need our glutes. This is a much easier pose to hold if you can make sure they're switched on. So if you do find you have lazy ones, then wake them up. Lovely. One more breath here. And we're going to take that right heel down so that the right foot is kind of parallel with the back of the mat, if that's comfortable. I'm going to keep the left leg exactly where it is. Turn the body to face the right. Arms come up. Gazes over those front middle fingers. If this is really tight across the front of the hips, or your bum's popped out again, and shorten your stance. Trying to tuck the tailbone so that your ribs are over your hips. So imagining the whole of the back of your body is lined up nicely against a wall. Okay, one more breath here. Then we're going to come back to that crescent lunge. So we're going to sweep the bottom arm through as we turn forward, coming onto that back heel. Exhale, take the fingertips to frame the front foot, step the back foot up. Lift up halfway, flat back, broad shoulders. I have a feeling I've disappeared off camera. On an exhale, you're going to fold forward. Inhale, rising up to stand. Gaze lifts up to the hands. Exhale, back to your mountain pose. Lovely. Take a little breath, have a little wriggle if you've got tired legs or feet, and then we'll tackle the other side. So finding that mountain pose again. Standing nice and tall, nice and active. Breathing here to start. Lovely. On your next inhale, whenever that comes, finding your chair pose again. So checking in again. The bend is only at the knees and the hips. Everything else is nice and straight. Arms reaching up overhead, or hands can be on the hips. Takes a little bit of weight out of the top of the body if you do that. So up to you. Try and keep the knees from knocking in. And keep them over the feet. Nice flat back, tummy hugged in. Lovely. Okay. So on an inhale, the left knee is going to lift into the chest. And then we're going to straighten up so that left leg extends a little bit behind us. Trying to track those hips so they're facing in the same direction. And then starting to tilt forward into your warrior three. So still kicking out through that back heel. Ooh, still trying to square the hips. Try not to look at anything else that's moving. Definitely helps. Steady breath. Last one. Then stepping those left toes to the ground behind you. Inhale to find your crescent lunge. Lovely. Next inhale, we're going to straighten up that front leg. The exhale, we're going to sink back into it. Hands to the hips again if that feels better. You can reach the arms up overhead. Again, check in on those glutes. Make sure they haven't decided to take another nap. Nice and steady with the breath. And we're going to come to that warrior two again. So on an inhale, sweeping the arms up, opening to the side. So keeping that right knee where it was. Left heel is down, foot is parallel with the back of the mat probably. Arms out nice and wide. Again, we're trying to stack ribs over hips. So maybe tucking the tailbone slightly if that's tight across the front, shortening the step. Nice and steady with the breath. Pressing through the outer edge of the back foot to stop the instep collapsing. Nice and strong. One more breath here. Then on an inhale, we're going to come back to that crescent lunge, sweeping the left arm down and up as we come onto the ball of the left foot. On an exhale, fingertips frame the right foot as you step the left foot up to meet it. Find your halfway lift. We're going to hold here for a breath. So flat back, broad chest. You can have the hands out to the side like little aeroplanes, kind of little wings if that helps. Hugging the tummy muscles in, keeping the knees a little bit bouncy, just so that enough that you have control of them, they're not locked out. And then with the feet, notice if you're rocking forward or back or in or out. See if you can even out the weight through the feet. One more breath. On an exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rising up to stand, gaze lift. Exhale, back to your mountain pose. Holding here, still an active stance. Steady with the breath. Lovely. On your next inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up high. On an exhale, you're going to hinge at the hips, coming into a forward fold. So long through the back and the arms as you come down. Inhale to find that halfway lift again. Then on the exhale, we're going to take the hands to the ground and step back to a downward facing dog. So hips come straight up. Nice upside down V shape. So we're prioritizing that straight back over straight legs. So keeping soft knees if you need. If you have the space to start working on the legs, you want to kind of draw the heels down towards the back of the mat. You should feel a stretch in the calf there. Some people will never get their heels down on the ground, probably me, because of different ligaments and muscles, bone shape, stuff like that. So that's not the aim. The aim is the stretch. One more breath in your down dog. Then on an exhale, taking the knees down to the mat, finding your child's pose. So any variation, knees can be together or apart, arms reaching up or alongside the legs, heavy, letting the space between the shoulders soften. On your next inhale, find your way back to a tabletop. Taking a little moment to get set up. So your knees are underneath the hips, so they're just hanging from the joint at the top. And then placed down. Kind of the same with the wrists. From here we're going to come into Anahatasana, also known as Utthita Balasana. You're going to walk the hands away. Keep the hips where they are above the knees and let either the forehead, the chin or the chest sink down to the mat. If you want to pop, if that's feeling very far away and you want to pop your block or cushion under your head to make it less intense, that's always available. We're trying to keep the arms straight. So if they bend as you reach them forward, then maybe take the hands further apart. If that helps you keep the arms nice and straight. So just finding what that shape looks like for you today. Might be different today to tomorrow. Lovely. We're going to come forward from here into Sphinx. So wherever your arms are, just apply a gentle pressure through the forearms and the hands. And then you're going to bring the hips forward and down to the ground, lifting the chest. So rearrange the arms if you need to, so that you've got your elbows stacked under your shoulders, pressing through the forearms and the hands, pressing the pelvis down to the ground, so drawing the tailbone down towards your heels, and then gently pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. At the top of the body, we're trying to keep the chest nice and broad across the front, neck in a neutral position, so you'll be looking down a little bit. Drawing the shoulder blades towards each other down the back. So there's lots of space around your neck and shoulders. Nice big breath. So we're just going to do a little bit of work on the spine before we wrap up. So on an exhale, we're just going to let everything come down to the ground. We're going to do some Cobra Rolls. So we're going to take our fingertips, kind of tent them, spider them, either side of the mat, elbows up. They're there as a guide, as support. We're not putting any weight through them. So from the middle, maybe starting with the forehead down, pressing the pelvis into the ground again, rolling that tailbone down towards the heels, tops of the feet in contact with the earth. On an inhale, you're going to lift the chest and shoulders, drawing the shoulder blades together down the back. Exhale, lower the chest to the ground. So inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Keeping that going with your breath, keeping the pelvis down, the feet down, and only coming up as far as you can before you end up pushing into those hands. So for all of us, that's going to be a different amount, depending on our strength and also the shape of our vertebrae. Some people have more room for movement than others. If you don't trust yourself, you can always take the hands away. Just one more. Release down, hands under shoulders, tucking the toes, pushing yourself back to a child's pose. Can be nice to keep the knees a little wider, the arms reaching up, stretching out the lower back a bit. We're going to start to wind down now, so you can come forward a bit and turn over onto your back. So let's lengthen out. So if you've got enough space, legs and arms out nice and long. And kind of neglected side stretches. So we'll get excuse me, a nice passive one in here. So you're going to try and keep, if you know, take a moment to notice the points of contact your body has with the earth. As we're going to move ourselves into a little bit of a banana shape, but we want to try and keep those points of contact down. So depending on our flexibility, sometimes one will try to lift off. If that happens, then just make your banana less banana-y, and hopefully that'll correct it. So we'll start to walk the arms over to the left side of the mat, top corner, and then the feet are going to go over as well. So you're still lying flat on your back. If you want to, you can pull on the right wrist with the left hand, and you can hook the right ankle over the left one. Still trying to keep those points of contact on your back with the earth. Nice big breaths. Just letting the body kind of hang here. Taking your attention to your breath. One more breath on this side. And we're going to bring ourselves back to center, uncrossing wrists and ankles, just lying flat down the middle of the mat for a couple of breaths. Checking in on the body. Maybe you notice different feeling on each side. Maybe you don't. There's no right or wrong. Then on an exhale, we're going to walk the hands over to the right. Feet will follow. Again, options to pull on the left wrist to find that stretch, or hook the left ankle over the right this time. Trying to keep those points of contact between the back of your body and the mat. And finding that nice steady breath again. Maybe noticing how it feels in the body now you're in a different shape. Finding softness in the shape. The only control you're really holding on to is the breath. Last breath. And then we're going to walk the arms and legs back to the middle, lying nice and long down the center of the mat. Just letting the body settle here. And take a final gentle twist before we come down. So you can bring the arms down so that maybe the hands are on the body or along the ground, whatever feels better in you. Bending the knees up, taking the soles of the feet to the outer edge of the mat. On an exhale, you're gonna let the knees drop over to the right hand side. If it's comfortable on the neck, maybe you look over the left shoulder. So again, finding softness. The only control you're really seeking to have here is in the breath. If the weight in one of your legs is heavy and bordering on uncomfortable, then feel free to pop a cushion, a block, something underneath that leg so that you can find that bit of space, that bit of softness. One more breath on this side. Then as we inhale, we're going to draw the knees up to center. As you exhale, they'll come over to the left. Maybe switching the gaze with the head over the right shoulder. Steady breath through the nose. Last breath on this side. Then gently on an inhale, bringing yourself back to center. Bring your knees into the chest and give yourself a nice big hug. Make yourself as small as you can. Pull some silly faces, get some blood moving through the muscles there. And then when you're ready, finding your Shavasana. So lying long on the mat, feet apart, wherever is comfortable, and letting them hang. Palms up to the sky, the arms as far away from the body as they need to be for you to be comfortable. If it's a little chilly, you might want a blanket over you or to pop a jumper or socks back on. If your lower back's feeling a bit funky, then you can pop cushions under the thighs or knees, or you can bend the knees up, feet at the edge of the mat, let the knees drop together. If you prefer to have your hands on your body, then please do. We'll take 3 sighs. So big breath in through the nose, filling up all those 4 corners of the lungs again. And then on the exhale, we're going to sigh out of the mouth. 2 more of those in your own time. Letting go of all the effort, all the work you've done. Feeling into those points of contact with the ground beneath you, and allowing your body to sink into them. So let your bones be heavy and your muscles be soft. There's nothing for them to do for the next few minutes. I'm just going to rest here. Video. You can pause here, stay in your Shavasana as long as you like. If you're pushed for time, then we're going to slowly start to take deeper breaths. To wiggle fingers and toes, bringing some movement back into the body, rolling into wrists and ankles. Maybe taking a nice big stretch. Oh. And then bringing the knees into the chest. Give yourself another little hug. And then we're going to roll over onto whichever side is most comfortable. Taking a few breaths there. Traditionally in yoga, the left side is associated with the feminine side, with the sort of dozier side, because obviously we're not busy. And the right side is associated with more masculine energy, more fire. So you can try out both sides maybe over the next couple of weeks. See how you feel. And when you're ready, we're going to push ourselves back up to sitting. Keep your eyes closed if you can. Finding a comfortable seated position again. Coming to some stillness after a few little wriggles, whatever your body needs. Allowing your hands to come to rest on your legs, over your heart, or in prayer. Taking a moment to thank yourself for making time for this practice today. I know it can be a little bit harder when you're doing it on video, so thank you for bearing with me. And I'd like to invite you to think about something that's happened to you in this past week that has made you feel grateful. When you're ready, rubbing the hands together, getting them nice and warm. And cupping the palms of the hands over the eyelids, taking a moment to notice how that feels today. And then when you're ready to face the world, nice big breath in, blinking open the eyes and taking your hands away from your face. Thank you. Next week should be a normal week. I will be on Zoom, but there will still be a video that follows if you can't join us next week. So great, thank you. If you have any questions, just drop me an email, text, anything as you need. See you later.